I really hate you.
I'm running out of water.
I hate him. Then get your water. Do it now.
I have 2 bottles, but I'm gonna drink it.
Yo, this man.
I'm waiting on you, Granny.
All right. Okay. Bro, did your mic echo?
Listen, Alpha J, the Alpha J Show. I'm about to go join the Pizza Party podcast to this rate.
Bro, you're so high maintenance. You're like the highest maintenance person I've ever collabed with. I just want you to know
this is coming from the guy who thinks that nacho cheese Doritos are better than Cool Ranch.
All right, I'm starting Castoon. Screw you. I'm just gonna edit out your part. All right, I'm gonna start. Welcome to Castoon, your favorite conversation about animation. I am here with Jason, Blade, and Noah. How are you guys today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good tonight. It's been a very interesting day. We've had some very interesting conversations before we started, but you know, there we go.
Yes. This is going to be a very impromptu Castoon. We have 2 videos that we're going to be directly responding to. Both of them talking about the cartoon community. One by LS Mark and another one from Eye of Soul.
Oh yeah.
So let's just get the Mark one out of the way.
Okay.
Your thoughts, Noah?
I was robbed of a cameo.
You were robbed of a cameo?
I was robbed, you know. I thought LS Mark and I bonded over Brian being murdered, but I guess not.
As you can see, he was putting reviewers that people could recognize in the video.
Yeah, you know, the thing with Mark's video, it was good, and I liked it. I mean, I didn't think there was anything necessarily wrong with it.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah.
No, keep that energy.
Well, I mean, there's not really anything else to say about it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't think it, I mean, like, it wasn't...
You enjoyed it.
It wasn't really meant to be anything, like, insane, you know?
You enjoyed it.
I mean, it wasn't bad.
Alright, let's get a real man's thoughts on this. Alright, anyway.
Oh, boy. Okay.
I thought the video pretty much said what everyone has been saying about the community within the last year. It's kind of actually very in parallel with Mars's video, because when Mars made his video, a lot of people who saw that video shared the same sentiment. Whereas with Mark's video, a lot of people now share the same sentiment. The sentiment that it's not the same as when it was only Pan, Pi, and Enter. The same sentiment that not everyone talks about the same things. The same sentiment that people are really holding how people made videos 3 years ago to today's standards. A lot of people actually think that now. And the people who don't think that are people who are still holding on to Mars's video. But honestly, it's kind of just a lot of stuff that I think a lot of people know. So I'm not saying that someone won't be able to pick up anything out of it, but definitely a lot of people, especially people within the community who make videos, share a lot of the same sentiments as what was said in that. That's my thoughts on it. That's better than Noah's.
Wow.
It's coming from someone who makes short videos.
What was I supposed to say?
Say whatever you want, man. It's a podcast.
Oh, I can say whatever I want? Okay, well, Texas Tech is losing by 3 right now. In March Madness, I'm a little upset, but you know what it is?
Oh, dang, I forgot that was...
Thank you for instantly dating this podcast.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Anyways, okay. Go on. Go on, Jason.
Well, as both of you said, that it was a really very solid video. I kind of like how he essentially clickbaited the crap out of the video as well. How he said, oh man, here's what I hate about the community so much. Like, it's pretty much a really good sentiment of like knowing how the people are going to click the video and react to it as a whole. So I think pretty much giving a segue saying, hey, we're relating this topic to how these old notions of the cartoon community is still being said about today when it really isn't the thing anymore. So I'm really glad that he kind of put that into the video. As a person who has just recently came into the cartoon community myself, I don't know that much about the community, but at the same time, I could definitely understand some of the points that had been said, especially with the whole like the character stills and how a lot of people who uses them is the main reason why they are not very extroverted or more so reserved in the way that they don't want to show their faces to everybody and things like that. And I just find it hilarious how like he brought up the fact that everybody's like bringing on about the whole crossing arms still, like, you know, angry and stuff because everybody uses it or whatever. And I thought it was.
Do you have that?
I do actually, and to be honest, I don't have it. to be fair, I completely commissioned it. It gave the person like a free reign of what the poses can be. I just gave him emotion, and for like the disappointed one, he did the cross arm. So that's not on me. But yeah, I think it was a solid video. I think it really did like kind of reiterated that, hey, this isn't like 2013 anymore. We should just treat it as it's 2019 and know that the community as a whole has gotten a little bit bigger. Yeah, there's more people involved. There's a lot more opinions being shared between the two. We're actually having videos that has to do with debating now, which I think is really cool. And yeah, I just think that overall it just reiterates that, hey, this is the new era. So yeah, that's my take.
0.5% of my viewers in the last 28 days have come from Samsung Internet for Android.
As you can tell, Jason and I are kind of the forerunners of this Castoon.
Wow.
You know, this is the first one that people are gonna see, so this is their first impression.
Listen, what am I supposed? Listen, okay. You want me?
You watched the video? Okay, did you
on
watch both videos?
Huh?
Did you watch both videos?
Yes.
You have nothing to say about Mark? You just said, oh, it's okay, it's good. That's it.
Look, it was all... Okay, so it was a video that just talked about the good things about the community. Yeah. I mean, it was cool. Like, yeah, I agree with what he said. I mean, that's really it. All of us think that it was a good video, you know what I mean? Like, I think everybody in the community agreed that it was a solid video and it represented it very well.
So not a great video.
I mean, it wasn't amazing. Not a lot of videos are amazing. I would not give that. I would not throw that title around loosely. No.
Dang, why so safe, Noah?
Exposed.
Why so safe? I'm looking for the hot takes. You heard what I said. I said that the video didn't say much of what we said before.
Listen, I didn't say it was a bad video.
Ooh, all right. Well, I guess that's it for his video.
Why don't we talk about why
this
we're
is
really
gonna be. All right, go ahead.
I have Soul's an idiot.
Wow.
Oh, so this is where your hot takes are coming. All right, so I Have Soul released the video within 48 hours of Ellis Mark's video, and we all saw it today. And there's a lot of stuff that she said in it. So, where do you want to start, fellas?
Dude, she's literally like, there's not even enough adjectives to describe how big of a moron this person is. And I can't even wrap my head around, like, I seriously try to bring myself that low to understand, like, how she thinks, and it's just physically impossible for me to do.
Are we sure she's not misguided, misinformed, misunderstood?
By who?
By the people who watch your videos and come to that sentiment that you do.
You know, I think we've all been poisoned by the greats of the cartoon community, that we just can't see Eye of Soul's perspective.
Oh man.
Well, I guess
can we just talk about how big of a hypocrite she is?
We can go point by point. So I got all the points here. So here's what I'm just gonna go down them.
Okay.
The first point she brings up, well, it's not really a point, but it's something that I want to note, is that she's cutting ties with the community. She said that.
Who cares? Where has she been the last 8 months? Waiting for Butch Hartman to do something?
Oh,
I mean, when's the last time we heard about Eye of Soul? Butch Hartman?
Hey.
I mean, like, let's be real here.
Noah, you made videos on Butch Hartman.
That doesn't mean anything. I've been doing stuff after that. Eye of Soul literally made a video on Butch Hartman, and then that's the last thing I'd heard of her in the last 7 months. And that's just gonna say, I've cut the ties with the community, and this is a sad day.
That's the last thing you've heard of her. That doesn't mean anything.
45 degrees cooler up in here? Like, this is just me.
Yo, this man went ice cold. Like, she's made videos after that. She talked about Smallfoot, The Grinch, Spider-Verse.
Okay, but like, listen, all I'm saying is, I have not been a part of many conversations where somebody has said, yo, did you guys catch the new I Have Soul video?
Okay, to be fair, how many people have said that about me? If we're gonna be honest
but
here.
Listen, what I'm saying is, this was so random.
Well, that's because she's cutting ties now, right?
Okay, but who cares?
Her fans do.
Listen.
Like how your fans care about you.
Okay, but I'm talking about for us specifically. Look, if she left on bad terms, right, and not to get into like any personal drama like within the community, because I'm not sure how much of this you want to actually go out.
Oh no, we're going on everything.
But like, like with personal vendettas that she's had against people and personal arguments, why does she expect anybody in the community, like the actual creators, to care? Like, if she went out on such a negative note, why are we supposed to care that she's leaving?
Well, Nate, I'm gonna throw that to you.
Well, I mean, I'm like you guys. This is like kind of my first time hearing of Eye of Soul entirely, because I'm fresh as a daisy right now. I think really though, to your point, Noah, I don't think there really is a way for any of the creators to really feel as impassioned about her leaving, but I feel like they can be a little bit more impassioned on the words that she said about the community, because there really was no reason to say it, as you said. I think it was just to, like, you know, cause that kind of spark, because as we said before we got started, it just felt like one of those, like, hey, I'm just gonna be edgy just to be edgy, to show this, like, new persona type of thing, which I'm sure we're gonna get into later.
Mask.
Which I know we're gonna get into later. But for me, it just seems like that this person really wanted to try their darnest to poke some type of bear, because even in the end, she's like, hey, I'm willing to listen to what you have to say about what I said. So showing that, like, hey, she's open to any kind of, like, criticism or ridicule, whichever happens first. We don't know. This could be it, but yeah.
Well, the next thing that I found really interesting was of the specific words that she used. I'm pretty sure she's a person, you know, like some other people that I talked to, where they pick words very carefully. And one goal that she had for this video was to shed light on the community. And I think the problem I have with that is that to shed light on something, you have to be in it. You have to have, like, actual experiences in it. And I don't feel like she's shedding light on the community. I feel like she's shedding light on her personal experiences with a section of the community. Because there's a lot of people who haven't, like you said, talked to IFSol. And I'm not even talking about new people. I'm talking about people who have been in the community longer than her, who has grown to such a big stature that has probably never heard of her, that she is shedding light on without even meeting or talking to them personally. So how can you shed light on something that you don't know about?
Well, not only that, but what other than having, like, I think the most common picture I saw in the background when it came to community channels was Saberspark. Other than that, there was literally, like, she did not say the name of one single channel in the community. All she did was just complain about fan base. Essentially, like, who are you complaining about? Like, who are you mad at right now? Everybody?
That's something I'm really glad that you agree with me on. That.
I could not understand who the video was focused towards, and I was just more or less I was confused the whole time.
I thought I was gonna be the only one on this, but yeah, I definitely think name them, because when you show that list of all those channels going down, you're talking about animation channels. I saw Grade 8 Under 8 in there. He's not an animate. He's not even in this community.
Odd Ones Out?
Like, the Odd Ones Out.
You spilled the tea on Odd Ones Out?
Like, the Odd Ones Out, I believe, only made like one review, and it wasn't even a cartoon. It was like that one weird movie with I don't know what those monsters are called, but that was the only thing he reviewed. Why was he featured in the video? That to me made no sense.
I have no idea. And because she just looked up animators on YouTube.
That's probably what it is.
She literally searched up animation reviewers, and I guess
the ones out.
And just took a screenshot and rolled with it.
Yeah, and for me, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you guys. It
was lazy.
Don't necessarily, because I feel like that this video was just to rant. I think it was specifically just a ranting video, because I agree with you guys as well that there really isn't a pinpoint of what the grievances are, because she goes to the creators, then back to the fans, then back to the creators.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah, of course, we'll get to that too. But for me, it's just like there really isn't necessarily like a focal point on what the overall message is about, because even in her conclusion, she never really gave us like an overall message of what the problem is as a whole. She's just sort of like, hey, guess what? This is my take. If you want to talk about it, I'm all ears. So this made me feel like more and more this is more of a little bit of a bait video to start something, and that's kind of
I don't understand, like, you know, so we just kind of ranted a little bit about how, like, the video had no focus and no main point, right? So if you're gonna build up this video to be like the tea spiller, like she's coming for throats, you know, like this is supposed to be this big jab at the community, then why aren't you going balls to the walls all out? Why aren't you dropping names? Why aren't you naming specific dates? Like,
that's what
do
I thought
something.
as well.
Like, she literally didn't do anything. It was the worst call out I've ever seen in my entire life.
Because here's the problem when you don't do that, but you're giving so many specific examples. Then people who are in the community will go, I didn't do that. That's not me. And then you're gonna go, well, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking in an overall sense. And it wasn't in an overall sense. Those are like, a lot of these things are like tiny things that happen. So when you go, okay, X, Y, and Z does a lot of this, it gives clarity to what you're talking about. It gives points that people can refute. But if you're going the in general route,
yeah,
it's kind of hard to refute that.
Really, to compare the whole call out thing, Mr. Anna did a way better job than what she did, because he actually legitimately called people out.
He named the people who was messing with them.
They had the one-on-one conversations, and it ended up for the better.
Yeah.
So obviously, this person is just trying to stir something just to stir it, and isn't genuinely willing to be open to talk about some of the issues. I think that she was just saying things just to say it, just to quote unquote get it off her chest and move on, but really that's not going to be the case at all whatsoever.
So the next point was about what a lot of people, when they make these videos, talk about: diversity. They talk about the fact that a lot of reviewers seem to center in on a few series, and if you want to grow, you have to talk about those series.
That's the point that Mars made in his video. No. But okay, so like, you can't even tell me that you have to talk about the same thing. SaberSpark has literally built his channel around talking about things that none of us have ever heard about. You're gonna tell me you have to talk about Teen Titans Go
Cosmo.
To get your channel up? Yeah, Cosmodor, 24 Frames of Nick. Like, all of these YouTubers are successful, and they do it. They have made great videos in the process.
I'm really glad you said that. Are successful. That's another point.
Yeah. So, like, I don't understand. And, like, that's the thing, too, is I don't know if she's just saying, oh, well, nobody's gonna be on Vale terms. Because, listen, I don't have any beef with Vale, but everybody seems to think that he's the #1 most subscribed. But he's not. Saber is. And Saber literally has a channel that's focused around shows or movies that you've never heard of.
There's also Frederator.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people who don't talk about Steven Universe and Modern SpongeBob or Family Guy. Like, those are like the 3 shows that people center in on. And I know I talk about SpongeBob quite a bit. But one thing I did when I joined this community was I didn't want to talk about Adventure Time. I didn't want to talk about Star Versus. And I didn't want to talk about Steven Universe. I wanted to talk about Gumball, which, search how many people talk about Gumball. I wanted to talk about King of the Hill. I wanted to talk about Foster's Home. I wanted to talk about Clarence. These are not shows that are, like, talked about from the majority. They're not. Like, and there are people who are living testaments to the exact thing that you, in this video, are saying, like, the perfect antithesis.
That's
like,
you
say that, and this is the next point. You say that there isn't a melting pot in the community. There is. And the problem with this is, I feel like she knows this, because it's hard for me to believe that she tried to find reviewers by searching up cartoon reviewers. Yeah. That's not how someone would use YouTube. You would search it up by the show in which you'd want an opinion on, and then find the reviewer, and then find the show. Which is why, when you look at the video, there's a lot of people in there who aren't reviewers, because no one types what you type.
That's another thing that I really want to bring up as well. I'm curious as to what is interested in when it comes to television shows. Is it just mainstream stuff, or does she have like a little bit of like tidbits here and there that she's interested in, like, or passionate about in certain shows? Because if she's only focusing on the Steven Universes or the Adventure Times, isn't she kind of exposing
perpetuating
herself
the exact
as
same
well.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's, to me, that's just that you're not really bringing up something into new light. If you're doing it yourself, you're being a hypocrite. That's basically what it is.
Also, you know what's another problem I have with that?
What's up?
What is she doing about it? If there are, and this is a problem I've had with many people that probably you guys have never even seen the problems with the Cartoon community videos on. When they say this, what are they doing about it? A lot of people aren't collabing with these people. Like, do you know how many people I've collabed with that, like, haven't collabed with anyone before?
Yes. You know what? It's literally...
People aren't... Like, you can't do that. You can't be the person going, oh, there's so many small reviewers talking about shows, they don't get recognition. And then you don't use your community posts to, like, push them up. You don't shout them out in a video. You don't even go to Twitter and retweet their stuff. So if you're not doing something about it, at most... You're just doing what everyone does on Twitter. You're just talking about it, but when it comes to actual action, you're not doing anything.
This Castoon
when I see people that I want to
proof.
bring up, in fact, I'm actually collabing with someone who has less than 20,000 subscribers. I think he just hit 10K or something like that. Like, I'm actually doing something about it. I haven't, you know who you wanna know who I collabed with? I collabed with Hi Guy on the Butch Hartman stuff. What else? Who else has she collabed with after that? Did she ever come to you guys?
Well, I mean, obviously not.
No. The only conversation I had with ISOL was during the Butch Hartman stuff, and I mentioned how maybe she was going a little too hard, and this was, you know, I was still in it, but I was starting to realize, like, yo, this is getting kind of out of hand, like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And she was like, I mean, she was worse than Pi. Like, she was like, no, like, he needs to be brought to justice, and this and that. I'm just like, this guy's not Hitler. Like, she was crazy.
But I really do want to. We're gonna get to the Butch Hartman thing too, because that's a big point. But I'm gonna clip this part for Twitter, because I really want this part to, like, get to as many people as possible. Everyone's talking about the fact that all the big reviewers talk about the same things, yet when I look at your feeds, I never see you guys retweet anyone who's smaller, like anyone who has less than 1,000 subscribers. I never see you guys talking about, on your community posts, when you do have 10,000 subscribers and you're able to get it, pushing out other people's videos. Where's the collabs? You can't on one hand talk about, and this goes for everything, this also goes for music, this goes for anything. If you're gonna talk about the fact that the mainstream is X and you want more Y into it, then push it. Like, anyone can make a platform. Like, the fact that I has over 30,000 subscribers, she has a platform to push the stuff that she wants. Like, you can't be an activist and then not act. Like, if you want to push the stuff that you want to see, like, the algorithm will reward it. Like, everyone's talking about the fact that it pushes against, but it's not the case. All you gotta do is push the people in which you want to see grow, and not talk about the people who you don't want to see grow. But you know what's gonna happen, right? All of you who are listening to this Twitter video are gonna talk about the people who you don't want to wish to grow. You're gonna screen cap their thumbnails, and you're gonna make opinions on these people who have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Yet the people that you watch that have less than 1,000 subscribers, you're not gonna talk about them and wonder why they don't grow. It's your fault. Like, do something about it. I've collabed with like 10 people this year. And it's March.
Dude, Jay's literally living proof of this, guys. If anybody can go on a rant about bringing people up, it's literally the Alpha J Show. Listen, if it wasn't for Jay, I would not know how 90% of the people in this community that I know. Jason Blade right here, also, I got to meet him because of Jay, and I know that he's got to meet a lot of people because of Jay too. I'm not going to repeat what he just said because Jay just went off and he said everything perfectly, but all I'm going to say is that if you don't think that Jay does this, Jason and I are literally living proof of Jay bringing people under his wing.
Yeah, and coming from someone who doesn't really have that big sub count, how you doing? It's essentially this. If you really want people to have a voice within a community that seems like they don't have a lot of voices, just simply share it amongst your friends. Share it amongst people that you think enjoy this type of content. If you want people to say, like, hey, I want like a fresh voice about this certain topic, you can go ahead and like search up, see who isn't really been talked about a lot. Just search them up. If you like their stuff, go ahead and share it with others who might feel the same way, and it'll go from there. Like, one retweet or like one sharing of a link can do like wonders. Because like me collabing with Jay and Noah on the hot take video that we did quite a bit ago, like it definitely helped me out. It helped me reach 100. So that's, you know, it's really helpful. And, you know, yeah, it's not like, and it's not hurting anybody because you get to, you know,
and it's free.
You get to be one of the people like, hey, you know, I'm one of the OGs. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of the OGs. I was like subscriber number 83. You know what I'm saying? it's just essentially you're helping other people. You're helping those people who work their butts off trying to get these videos out, trying to be able to get that grind going, and sharing that amongst other people to share that type of you know, passion and strength that they put into it. No one can be thankful enough because that's what they want. They want their voice heard. That's like the biggest thing out of everything when it comes to like the real good reviewers out there. Like,
I just realized that this I'm gonna try not to make this a 2-hour video. I'm not even 1/4 of the way down this page.
Wow.
Alright, so I'm just gonna hop around a little bit. So another thing that she talked about was animation not being seen as like a big medium in the media. The problem with this point is, even though it's true, I don't know why the cartoon community is at fault for that.
Yeah.
She said that she made a point that in the media, animation isn't taken as seriously, which is something that in many aspects is true, like award shows and stuff like that. But I don't know. Like,
so is she going like the Mars reviews route and kind of saying like oh, the community, like in the sense where he was talking about how nobody has hit 1 million subscribers?
There wasn't that many sources.
It's like, is she going a similar route there? I mean, because even then, yeah, that literally correlates with us 0%.
Yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, there's not much we could do with it, because this community will probably never go mainstream, like at all, because the cartoon community is about like cartoons that, you know, for a lot of people are considered for kids. So really, we're not doing any, like, there really isn't a good way for us to go mainstream unless, like, you know, God forbid somebody decides to be like, hey, you know what, we're gonna go to Jimmy Fallon's show and talk about these weirdo who talks about cartoons.
Vilsky Bum 94 is our guest star tonight. Like, Anderson Cooper's not my uncle. What do you want me to do? Get us on CNN? Like, yeah, I don't understand that point at all.
No. Like, to me, it just seems like she's just venting just to vent at that point. I don't really understand.
And you know,
she just wanted something to be mad about.
If we are gonna stay on this point, I guess then let's talk about it. A lot of people also in the comment section has also come to the same conclusion that she has a very bitter tone talking about the community that she's leaving.
I think that's just her.
I agree. Just like, I don't even know, like, I haven't really watched any of her videos at all, and just hearing her tone is really what she like brought into like the space with that kind of energy. It seems like, wow, you must have really not had a very good time here at all if you really have this like incredibly skewed opinion of the community. Because this is not like, this video to me really isn't talking about the problems of the community. I think this is more of a video of her grievances and her experiences of the community.
Big facts.
Like, it's not factual at all. It's literally just her spewing out all this negative vibe, like nothing positive is in it up until the end, which is just like, just letting you know, this is my opinion, and there's good chances that a good bit of this is wrong, which honestly I personally think that it is. And yeah, I just don't think that this is, I feel like the title was incredibly misleading, and it's just kind of what it is.
You know, you want to know what I think? I think that she wanted something to complain about. She wanted to whine. She wanted to call people out, which first off, she failed miserably at that. But I think she wanted to do all of these things, but yet she needed a way to twist it to get people out to actually watch it. Because if she titled this something, you know, along the lines of like, my bad experiences with the cartoon community. Nobody's gonna care. But whenever you title it like, you know, whatever it is, the mysterious case of the cartoon community.
Yeah, the curious case
yeah,
of
the
the
curious
cartoon community.
case of the cartoon community, then people are gonna be like, oh snap, okay, I'm interested in this. What dirt is she gonna reveal? So yeah, it was 100% enticing people with that, which, you know, it's the YouTube hustle, like, you know, gotta respect,
Yeah,
but like, you know, at the end of the day, like this video just sucked. Like,
Yo, okay.
So another thing that she talks about within the video is the fact that if you have an unpopular opinion about animation in any way, that the video is basically negatively affected by it. And the problem with that is, that's, number one, that's every community. That's a big point that we'll get to later on, but also, that just comes with the job. And that's another thing. Like, if the video is negatively affected, as far as dislikes and people just commenting nasty things, if your finish line and if your scoreboard of if the video does well is stuff like that, then that's on you. But if the video, if the way that you're looking at a controversial video is, I'm getting this out there, I don't care how people view it, then stuff like that shouldn't matter. Like, I remember when I did my I did 40-40-20, like the only episode of Teen Titans Go that people like, I gave a negative review on, and for the longest time it had more dislikes than likes. I didn't care. Like, it didn't negatively affect me because it was my opinion of the show, and I gave very well-grounded opinions of the show, and I realized that I was in the minority. It happens. Sometimes it happens, and you shouldn't judge the quality of a critic with the amount of the amount of controversial and unpopular opinions they have. A good critic could very well have very little unpopular opinions, and a bad critic could have a lot of unpopular opinions, because if we're actually talking about what makes a good critic, it's one that makes points that people understand, which is the exact opposite of what you've done in this video.
Yeah, I think she was just kind of going the route of, I think, you know, she was just making the very, like, cop-out argument that if you have a different opinion in the cartoon community, you will be crucified, like, you know, but, like, that's literally been said forever. And it's not true. You know, I just posted this in our chat. Like, I'm gonna cite Vale here. He made a video like 10 months ago, and it was called Cartoons I Dislike That Everyone Enjoys. And he talked about these big cartoons that everybody loves that he just doesn't like. And it got like 80,000 views. I mean, that's pretty successful. If you get 80k views and you're disappointed in that, then I don't know what, you must be used to higher. I don't know, but like, I don't agree with the idea at all that just because you are not a part of the status quo and you love every single episode of Steven Universe and you don't hate every episode of Teen Titans Go, that you're a heretic or you're an outsider, like, that just is not true at all.
And here's another thing about it, is the fact that, like, in this community, what people, like, look into, their fan base is looking for those specific shows. Like, with you and I know it for a little bit with Total Drama. Some people actually do look forward to the Total Drama content that we usually put out. That's just kind of how it works. Like, if you find something that, like, you know, clicks with your audience, then you're gonna have to stick with it just for a little bit. I'm not saying, like, solely focus your channel on that specific topic, but if you know that that's one of, like, your main juice boxes, then you go for it. Then you make sure to be like, okay, I gotta make sure to, like, you know, talk about some interesting point, because we're interested in this topic. We do love talking about this topic. And if our fans love us talking about it, why do we stop? Why do we have to stop? That's just kind of, that to me, that just says that if you're just trying to find a way to, like, look into all of the, like, hidden gems in the cartoon community, within the cartoon community with a bunch of shows, not all of them are going to stick with you, because you're not going to be known for that.
Can we actually center in on that? Another point she made in the video was the fact that the community isn't special because the leaders are decided.
What do you mean the leaders are decided? Cosmodor just went from like 30k to over 100k in like 5 months.
Not even just that, but if we're talking about the community that you were in, it was Enter, Pan, and Pi. You're saying those leaders are still there?
You know, no offense to Pi, but
You're telling me that they are the only ones who are still the leaders here? There's no one who has surpassed them,
Saber.
probably like overlapped them multiple times. There isn't anyone who has a bigger scope.
You know,
What leaders?
man, I'm telling you, the community just went so terrible after Scoutfly
Like,
left.
in all honesty, and it's kind of funny because like, there's a whole you know MomoCon, right? Like that convention is getting so many of the representations of the cartoon community. It's insane. So to say that, oh yeah, it's just the same number of people. Some of the guys that are going to MomoCon right now that are like as guests, like as legit, like, hey, we're being featured, we're getting a panel and stuff. Like a lot of them have like started becoming cartoon reviewers, like maybe 2-3 years ago. So saying that, hey, we still have the same people doing the same stuff and we're not going anywhere, that's incredibly false. And in the end of the video, when you say that, oh yeah, I still have hope for this community, you just negated just about 85% of what you just said about the community. Because
Speaking of the community, who's that? Who's that in the background? Is that who I think it is? Oh my god, it's Sage. Hey Sage.
Oh,
Hi, Sage.
What's up? Crap, I just activated my Siri.
oh, well, that's your problem. Whoopsie daisy.
But pretty much, I think a lot of what you said is correct. I feel like she's kind of upset with the audience she's grown, and it's a common problem. But I don't know why she would like take it out on the community. Like you kind of the videos you make, those are the like people watch the videos that you make, and then if they like them, they're gonna request videos of like more. So I mean, it happens. I mean, it's unfortunate if you can't like break out of that, but I mean, that's not a community problem. Like some people just, and it does happen when you super niche down, but that's first of all, that's not even a cartoon community thing. And you know what? Let's actually get to that. A lot of the problems she had within this video are not exclusive to the cartoon community. They're exclusive. They're not even exclusive to any fandom. It's every fandom.
They're everything.
Every media.
Every part of
anything
fandom
that has opinions on it.
Which is everything.
There'll be people who have leaders. There'll be leaders. There'll be unpopular opinions. There'll be opinions that are widely held as correct. Opinions widely held as not correct. That's every fandom.
Yeah, like, in all honesty, if you really have that big of an issue, then you might as well just be a hobbit. I'm just saying. Because there's just, like, you can't get away with those types of conflicts. No matter where you go in life, those same problems will still be there in your face. It doesn't matter, like, what community you're in. It doesn't matter what job you work in. It doesn't matter, like, what politician is running whatever city at that moment. It's gonna be there, no matter where you are.
I think she's a communist.
Whoa.
Oh my god. Yo.
That came out of nowhere. Holy crap.
That's the second spicy hot take from Noah. I'm really liking this.
Yo, oh my god.
See, the thing is, I don't think she's an idiot. I just think that she's had like a whole bunch of bad experiences, and she's just gonna go off of that when exiting the community. And because there's a lot of people in the community who don't understand that a lot of us talk to each other now, it's not as divided as it was a few years ago. People are gonna look at this and go, well, I mean, I guess that makes sense, because I don't see, for example, me and Vox talking, or I don't know, freaking Han and Saber talking, you know what I mean? Like, because they don't see it, they're gonna think a lot of the stuff in here is true, but it's not. It's actually, the community has been as friendly as it is now than ever before.
Yeah, like, I mean, we literally all talk. I mean, obviously not everybody, but a handful of people talk all the time, like almost like every day. So I don't know if she was just kind of like left on the outs, and if she's a little salty about that, I don't really know.
Which she left.
Yeah.
As you know, as someone who really isn't like in, the cartoon community, and just kind of coming into this video with like a, just looking into this, it just kind of felt, I will say that she had some fair points with how she, you know, talked about certain things, but when she really tunneled into what she was trying to say, it felt more like there were some personal aspects there that just kind of led the message astray in a way. And it kind of, you know, while she was talking about bias, she had this really very powerful bias in her own way. And it just kind of... And that's just something that happens in a lot of, you know, communities, unfortunately. And she just... I don't know. It just kind of feels like she didn't want to really engage with that and instead would rather vent her frustrations over it.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like she just got burnt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she got burnt by something. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if she was a part of a server in which we're all in, which, according to Tom, we can all talk about. If she was a part of that server and she left, that's on her. Like, you left.
Yeah. But then she painted it to be like she was
server
removed.
that I'm pretty sure that we were both a part of. You were booted out, but you weren't booted out because of, and we'll get to that right now. She talks about the fact that negativity isn't allowed and you can't have controversial opinions. If that's the case, no. The reason why you were kicked out of that server was because of the fact that people had to walk on eggshells around you when discussing their own opinions. And the thing about that is when you're in a friendship with someone or in a relationship with someone, Jaden Animations has a great video about this that's trending as we record this. If you feel like you have to walk around eggshells talking to someone, that's the seeds of toxicity right then and there.
Yeah.
That's the reason why you got booted out. And quite frankly, that's the reason why some people don't really want to talk to her, because she is, I mean, and some people can be, like, I feel like I'm a little abrasive, right? Like, I don't think that's the thing here. I think the thing here is that, yes, people just, how dare you? I think the thing here is that people just find her abrasive to the point of not wanting to, like, confront her on these things.
Those are big facts.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, I mean, I can be abrasive, you know, I feel like a lot of people can, you know, there's sometimes where you're just not prepared for something and it's gonna rub you the wrong way. That's just how it is. But the problem is how you deal with it more than how you, you know, present yourself is what is necessary there. You need to at least not completely be as abrasive outwardly and constantly.
I also feel like that it just seems to me like a person outside looking in, because this is essentially what this is. For me, I think that it's one of those things where she has a lot of baggage that she needs to, like, clear out. And I think the first step to do that is to admit that you do have said baggage. And I don't think she ever really went to the point where she actually thought to herself that, yeah, I have a lot of baggage within this community, and I would like to, like, see if I can find a way to air it out, to clear things up with some people that she's had issue with in the past. If she had actually admitted to herself that she had that baggage and was willing to, like, talk to the people that she had issues with, then maybe she wouldn't be feeling the way she's feeling right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just kind of what it is. You have to be open to talk about the issues that you have. And if you're not, then you're not going to go anywhere. I mean, and that's not just the community, that's just life. It's just life in general.
The next thing that she talks about is the fact that she makes a lot of assumptions about how reviewers react to things, such as that there's a loop. And there is this loop when it comes to certain YouTubers, but the thing is, I'm coming at this from the perspective of hers, which is she's just painting broad strokes because she didn't want to name names. And this loop was that if your reviews do well, then you get more I agrees, which feeds into your own ego. She assumes that a lot of reviewers have big egos about their own reviews.
I think she's just filled with jealousy. You know,
I'm gonna be honest. I can name like 5 reviewers who are like the complete opposite of that. I mean, yes, certain, like, when we talk about certain shows and we talk about our opinions, yes, A lot of times they could be well grounded, but there's a difference between defending your point and then having a large ego. In fact, I would actually admit that a lot of big reviewers are actually a lot more humble than a lot of small reviewers I know. Not talking to anyone here.
You sure about that? I feel this is a targeted attack on me. I'm gonna have to do a podcast about you now.
I just make total drama videos.
Oh boy.
I mean, unless you guys think differently, I've talked to a lot of reviewers. They don't have ego.
Any
well,
person
you know,
that I've talked to, I don't. Yeah, I have not met a single ego in this community.
Yeah, I haven't really talked to anyone that I know of.
There are people like that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there aren't, especially in a YouTube community.
Can I just say
but
something real quick? Literally, day one, you
it's how
said that
she
we could
named
talk
the
about
title.
that thing we're all in, right?
Yeah.
Day one of me being in that server, I joined this group call with everybody. And Vox, who's literally runs one of the biggest channels in the cartoon community, I had like a really long conversation with him. Like he literally just acted like I had been there forever.
Yeah, he's so
like
nice.
he was so, they were all so welcoming and like really chill.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, yeah, like, hey, what's up, bro? Like they weren't like, who's this kid, you know, like
Yeah.
oh, this random little kid that Alpha J added into the server. Like no, like they were all really chill. And they were like, oh hey, you know, like this guy's cool, like hey, let's talk to him and stuff. So yeah, no, the fact that people have egos, like, no, it's not true. I mean, definitely people have their own personal egos and a lot of things, but as for, like, the community, I have not seen one yet.
I mean, in the YouTube community in general, if you really want to, like, I wouldn't say get big, but be noticed, per se, you're gonna have a little bit of an ego. Like, that's kind of, without then...
You have to have the audacity to say, hey, my stuff is good. Come to my stuff.
Yeah, you have to have that.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to have that mentality. If not, why are you doing it? That's the first thing. And then going to what you said, like for me, when I entered the community, of course, Jay helped me out a lot, getting a chance to know some of the people that I know now and we have been really chill with. Like the one thing about this community, I will say, is the fact that people aren't afraid to say what they want to say, and even after that, if there is a debate, we can still be chill. Like, a good example of that would be Pie Guys and Kuro's debate of Ben 10. And, of course, our debate, Noah, about who should have won the Total Drama Island. Like, even though we get into, oh my gosh, shut up. Even though we have, like, a pretty good debate or a heated debate for some people who think that, we can still come out as, like, good friends, be able to still talk about some things and not really get, all get our panties in a twist or whatever. Yeah. So for me, for her to say that, oh yeah, this is a community where you get shunned if you don't say the right opinion within that space is completely inaccurate in my opinion. I have never talked to anyone that has, like, shut down my opinion entirely on this community. Like, I'm pretty sure that everyone is welcome to hear it. Everyone is welcome to debate it. And, there wasn't a time where I felt like I was being, like, exposed or shunned or humiliated by anybody within the community. So, I completely disagree with that statement.
You want to know who it seems like has the biggest ego in this community? I have Soul.
I mean, from what it looks like.
You're going for the jugular, aren't we? Good
but
lord.
It's true. Like, I haven't. When I hear. The thing is, when I hear about her through the grapevine, it's not a lot of positive things.
Exactly. Like, I've not heard one good thing. I've literally asked people, what's I Have Soul like? No, nobody likes her.
And like, think about it from, like, a Hollywood perspective. Imagine if we were actors, right? If we did that, then we would think that they were. My bad, Nate. And if we did that, we would think that, this person has a big ego.
Oh, no,
like, if we kept hearing negative things about them.
Trust me, like, speaking from an actor's perspective myself, if you pretty much have, like, a negative aspect, if you think it's all about you, you would easily get blacklisted. Like, that is just a huge no-no. Because as an actor, you have to be willing to work with everyone, no matter if you agree with them or disagree with them. Personally, the main objective is to give the best effort on the stage or set or whatever, that's the main objective. If you think you have to be the star, or you are doing it for the benefit of you and you show it, yeah, that's dead. Like, I'm sorry. You can't do that.
I like to believe that there's still some good in people no matter what, and I'm sure there's still some good in there, even though at times that this video might seem quite abrasive in some ways. As I said, at the end of it, at least she is willing to accept criticism. That's the thing that I saw, at least.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't even know her that well, so, like, obviously I don't have, like, as much of an opinion on her even after watching the video and really kind of debriefing it, because at the end of the day, it's her opinion. If she truly feels this way, I'm not gonna, like, say, well, I'm not gonna go ahead and say that, hey, you're wrong for having this opinion. If you want to have that opinion, fine, whatever, but just know that people are gonna ridicule the hell out of it, like we are doing right now. And you can't really have a problem with it because you put that into the space and people are going to receive it in their own way.
Another point that she had, now this one I'm glad that you guys are here for. She talks about the fact that you have to give up some of your integrity to do collabs.
What?
Now here's the thing, and I'm gonna give.
Ah, boy.
I missed that in the
Yes.
video. Is that seriously something she said?
Mm-hmm.
She said
That's
that you
usually
have
the
to sell
dumbest
your
sentence
soul
I've ever
to
heard
do
in my entire
collabs with
life.
people who are bigger than you. You dream collabs.
You've just,
Let's talk about
wait,
my Wishology collab with Nintendo.
You have to sell part of your soul to a collab with somebody bigger than you. Is that what she said?
Yes, and I want to
How
take
does that
this
make
part
sense?
because when I collab with Nick, you can look in that video. We actually had very harshly like different opinions. I see Wishology a lot more fondly than he does. Yet the video went out. He didn't. If he said, "Oh, I'm just gonna say Wishology is good because it's on your channel," then yeah, you would have a point. But no one that I've ever talked to or collabed with has been forced to like change their opinion. Like there's even in this Castoon, the way that Noah feels and the way that Sage feels are completely different. Sage isn't. I'm pretty sure Sage doesn't agree that I's an idiot the way that Noah agrees. Like everyone has different opinions, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like she's been around people who told her to change. And you know what I think it leads back to? I think it leads back to the Butch Harmon thing, where everyone around her was like, dude, you gotta chill out. And she didn't want to chill out. But I don't think collabs are the thing. I mean, yes, there is a chance that if you collab with someone and you want to impress them, you can swap your opinions, but you're saying it as if it's a common practice because look at the way that your video is titled. People are going to think that that's the norm.
It really isn't.
I don't think that's the norm.
I don't think it is.
I've never heard that. I've never seen one collab with a smaller channel going on a bigger channel, and
They just flip-flopped.
Yeah, that'd be like me going on. I don't even know, like Vale's channel and just totally trashing total drama to impress a big YouTuber. Like it doesn't make sense. Like that would literally never happen.
What collab is she talking about? That's what I want to know.
Did she do a collab with somebody bigger than her? Pie Guy? Is that
Hi,
it?
guy.
I don't really understand. I mean, if she views collabing like that in, as a form of selling your soul, then she's doing the collabs with wrong people.
Yeah.
Simply
Exactly.
put. Because the fun of the community is interacting with each other, sharing what you love. And obviously, it probably didn't work out too well for her, at least there, but it is something that she should at least branch out and try some more of, because it would probably benefit her a lot more. Open herself up to opportunities. What?
So.
Oh, well, I mean, well, that was, it's more of a personal kind of anecdote. God, can't talk today. But it's just something that I feel you should live up to yourself, is branch out, see what other people are in the community that you love, and share it.
This kind of go back to what Jay said a lot earlier in the podcast. But if you feel, or was it like off? I don't know. But like, if you really think that it's an issue with the collabs, collab with the smaller channels and set the right tone. Be that first step in changing the notions of the collaborations within the community if you think that's an issue.
That's too difficult. It's way easier to complain.
It's a lot easier to complain. You get the chance to meet new people who you can potentially inspire to continue to make these videos and change this perspective that you believe this community is in right now. Like, you have the power. You have over 30,000 subscribers. You have the power to be able to, you know, have a new set of people to come up and be inspired to do those things and really give a brighter note on the community. But I feel like that with the fact that you are complaining about that in particular, about how the devilish notions of the higher channels with these collabs, and having to say that I have to skew your opinion a little bit to, you know, fit the mold, it just seems like to me that instead of just being able to leave an open ear and ask, like, okay, why do you think I should stop? It just seems to me that you're just like, you know what, screw you guys, I'm gonna do what I want.
Yeah.
Like, you're pretty much isolating yourself from everybody else if you have that notion.
Voluntarily, by the way.
Yeah, you're isolating yourself. That's basically what you're doing, because I don't know anybody who has spoken to this person privately. I don't know who actually did ask for them to stop whatever they were doing at that time. But I would love to hear, like, did you actually be willing to say, oh, why do you think I should stop? Why do you think I'm going too far? What am I doing that makes it seem like I'm going overboard? Like, if you didn't ask those questions and say, no, I'm going to continue this, that's more on you than on them. Just, you know, take it as you want.
Now, another thing I wanted to bring up, well, actually, no, let's actually save that. Let's actually talk about the nostalgia blanket.
Oh boy.
Was that the one where she showed that brony?
Do you guys think that reviewers hold on to nostalgia too much?
Wait, what was her point again?
Her whole point was that reviewers are clinging on to nostalgia because it's a much safer route to go under, because you'll have a lot more people agree with you.
You know, to a point, I agree. Like, cause I've said that for a while, that you know, shows that everybody loves, like, whenever you go back and look on it, because, like, I always remember liking old shows, but I don't remember why. I just remember loving it, and then you go back and watch it, it's just kind of like, you know, So maybe she's, like, going with the argument that, like, nostalgia is overrated and it makes things better. Like, I guess, but what does that tie into the community?
Yeah,
I think she's trying to say that a lot of the YouTubers, or at least the reviewers and cartoons, may hold on more to the nostalgia because it's something that might be easier to at least pitch to their audience in a way.
So is that a dig at, like, Cosmodor, 24 Frames and Nick?
I can't say for sure. I don't think that's necessarily an accurate representation of that, because you know, I've seen cartoon reviewers go back and look at, you know, a cartoon that they loved, and they've trashed it. They've absolutely destroyed it, you know. But
I've done that with the Mighty Bee.
And it's just kind of how it, you know, goes. But
yeah, and it is. C.R. Martin did it with Gumball.
I mean, it's just, I think that argument does hold some weight in some regard, because there are some reviewers out there who might aim more towards something that they know for a fact is something that's easy to really just put in there into a video and throw it out there, in a sense. Because it has the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
I will say,
this
okay,
one, it's a little bit.
I can't say it is a safe route, but I don't know if it's a route that everyone's taking, because it definitely is a safe route.
Oh well, no, it's not. It's not everyone.
It's not.
You know, it's not something everyone's
I don't
taking.
think everyone is taking it per se, but I guess I can kind of understand what she sees in, like, it as an issue. Like, I know, for an example, with the cartoon clash that was on Cosmodor's channel for a little bit, and the overall winner, spoiler alert, was the original Powerpuff Girls. And, you know, I personally did felt like that a lot of nostalgia kind of played into that decision, because of how much of an impact it really did made for us as kids growing up. Granted, I haven't seen PPG in a very long time, so I have to look at it again for myself to really like be like, okay, yeah, I can see that this is like a nostalgia blanket being thrown all over this thing. But at the same time, I don't think it's really like as big of an issue as she's making it out to be, because there are plenty of YouTubers or in cartoon reviews in general that like aren't huge fans of like the biggest thing. I know, like, for you, Jay, you're not a big fan of Steven Universe as a whole. You don't really talk about it as much. So, it's not like every reviewer is like, oh, I'm going to go for that, like, nostalgic aspect because this show has been running for so long. I love it. And, it's just, to me, it's just like, it's not really that big of an issue. I just think it's just like, oh, it's there. I acknowledge that it's there, it's obviously there, but it's not like the sole thing within the community.
Not only just that, but that's not really, again, this is going to be a repeating thing of these points. This is not exclusive to the cartoon community. You can easily say this about the gaming community.
I mean, there are people in all sorts of, any kind of gaming community that has a series that runs longer than a set of games, one game or more, who, you'll have people who will argue that this one's better or that one's better, or they'll even get into, elitist fights over things like that. And it's absolutely atrocious, but it happens, and it's just kind of how it's going to be. It's something that happens with the community when certain things just grow up and, continue to produce more and more.
Another point that she brings up is poisonous positivity. The fact that we are super positive about all the shows that we talk about and negativity isn't allowed. Now, I'm going to throw her a bone here. She could be talking about YouTubers to YouTubers instead of YouTubers to shows, but I'll split it up for YouTubers to shows, and I'm going to split it up to YouTubers to YouTubers. But you guys can go.
Like, who's she talk? Like, literally, who's overly positive? Stuff with Scoutfly? He doesn't make videos anymore. Like, what do you mean?
Which one?
Like, there's not one reviewer that's insanely over positive like Justin was. Not one.
So I'm gonna ask real quick. Which one do you want us to do first?
Whichever one. I mean.
Okay. So I guess since we're going from Noah's point, we're gonna go from YouTuber to YouTuber. I genuinely like. I don't know. That one kind of confuses me because, necessarily, like, I think every video is different for different various reasons. Sure, there are some certain videos about a certain episode of a show where everyone has the same opinion, like the whole My Leg episode that was made for SpongeBob. Like, a lot of people said various of positive things of that episode, but I mean, can you really blame the YouTubers if that episode was like highly praised in general, not just the YouTubers, but also the people who enjoy SpongeBob as a whole? So I really don't understand the idea of like, oh, just because this overly positive thing about this certain show is going to be the same thing for everybody, or if you're not, you're going to get doxxed. That's not true, because like the example that I mentioned earlier with C.R. Martin, like, Martin loves the crap out of Gumball, and there are times where he looks at an episode and he totally like throws it in the dumpster and burn it up. That's just how it is. It's not having to always be positive or leaning towards a certain opinion where everybody agrees with it. That doesn't have to be the case.
Well, if we're talking, that was more YouTubers to shows. When I think YouTubers to YouTubers, I mean,
yeah, sorry about that.
If she's saying that you cannot be negative about another YouTuber's video or about that YouTuber as a person.
Ellis Mark.
Okay.
Mars Reviews. What do you mean?
Because if you're talking about show to show,
okay.
I mean, yes, there are certain reviewers that do a lot of positive reviews of a singular show, but
to be
come
honest.
on.
Especially with like a lot of when big shows have big fan bases, that tends to happen.
And people tend to flock. I mean, come on, people tend to flock to the opinions that they agree on. That's not necessarily. Again, this isn't a problem of the reviewers. That's just how society works. A lot of people don't go out of their way to seek opinions in which they don't agree with. But I don't know, to say that that's a problem with the person who's offering the opinion, that I don't know about that. I think it's the responsibility of the person to figure out how to like formulate their own opinions by going after different ones.
Yeah, and I guess going from like the YouTuber to YouTuber, honey, who are you talking to? Who
She's not gonna name.
Who wronged you? Like at this point, it's just like if you're talking about like like one reviewer, like a group of reviewers is going to like talk about other reviewers on the side, which I'm not gonna say it never happens, because it does happen sometimes, but like you can't necessarily just say that, oh yeah, all the YouTube, like the reviewers are in like a little cult, and if you don't agree with the cult, you're gonna get killed. That's not the case. Usually, like if there's a disagreement, you know, usually it's dealt with a little bit amounts of respect. If they don't want to, if they can't see eye to eye, then they can agree to disagree and, you know, part ways if they need to. Like, not everything has to go into like a dumpster fire. But like from the whole like, oh, I want to like this YouTube cult being thrown over here, I'm just gonna throw shade at them. Like, what cult are you referring to? Because I don't really feel like there's any kind of cult whatsoever. Like, there really isn't. This is kind of one of the few communities that I've been a part of where there really isn't a clicky vibe to it. Like, I don't really feel that there's any like specific cliques.
Yeah, there's a common thing. Like, everyone seems to be doing their own thing, if you want me to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel at times there are cliques. That's just how it is. And,
yeah,
you know, you're still going to run into that.
Yeah, it does, but it's just like,
because, you know, you tend to find something more in common with maybe someone else as opposed to another, but it's... The thing is, the one thing that I've found when it comes to YouTubers and, you know, interacting with other YouTubers is that more often than not, they understand each other. You know, we tend to find the same problems and we tend to try to find the same solutions in a way. So more often than not, if you're with another YouTuber and you're talking to them about, you know, it doesn't have to be your one subset of what you are in when it comes to YouTube. But if you're just talking to them and interacting with them as a YouTuber yourself, then more often than not, I find that that connection exists and it's there and it's something that's a little bit more natural than it usually is. And you'll still find people you disagree with. You'll still find someone or a YouTuber out there who, you know, you may not enjoy, you may not find interesting, or maybe they just don't like you. It's just kind of how it is with everyday life and every person that you run across. It's not always going to be positive.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I had a good conversation with Trafon about sports. And we already know his notion in the community. So it's kind of like, dude, not everything that a YouTuber talks about has to be specifically about YouTube. Like, there are other things, there are other interests, just like what Mr. Enter said in his rant video, that there are other interests that we have outside of what we do as a career choice or as a hobby that we're doing right now, depending on who you are. So, at the end of the day, I just don't understand the whole notion of this cult. Where is this cult coming from? Who is like the elitist of the cults? I don't understand who's running the cult.
Another thing that she brings up is the incentive of pushing a certain opinion because of the monetary gain that it gets you. And while that is prevalent in a lot of communities, again, I could just bring up the same argument, that's not this community, but to add on to that, you could say that for certain people. You could say that for certain reviewers, that you can allege that, you know, they have very similar opinions to the popular sort of section of the community, and that they've grown off of that. I think the issue now, like you could have said that before, but the issue now is that there's a lot more variety when it comes to bigger reviewers. I'm not even talking about as a whole. I'm just talking about the big guys. If you were to take like the top 20 people who talk about animation consistently, I guarantee you that not all of them are talking about the same things. And I can also guarantee you that they all probably have a certain show that maybe they fixate on, that they have a lot of unpopular opinions about. It happens. Like, this is the perfect time, if you didn't have said opinion, to do it. Because one thing I've noticed is that sometimes certain communities or certain personalities or YouTubers tend to grow because of the fact that they don't have the opinion of the majority. Sometimes that happens. So while it is true that certain people incentivize things off of ad revenue, it doesn't really concern a lot of people in the community. I mean, maybe it does, but the thing is, you'd have to see into their hearts, you'd have to see into their souls, and that's something that none of us can really do. I know that a lot of people that I talk to don't incentivize that. I know I personally don't incentivize that with half of the topics that I talk about. But this is the problem with the whole ambiguity that you're having when you're not naming the people who you allege focus on ad revenue more than sharing their love for animation. So it's kind of hard for me to dispute this point because I don't know who that's targeted to. And that's another thing. And I'll kind of just put these 2 points together. Are you talking about reviewers or are you talking about fans? This is something that we gotta come to a common definition on. Because if you're talking about the cartoon community, it can mean both. You could be talking about the fans who don't have YouTube channels, who don't have platforms, or you could be talking about reviewers, in which that's a very, very small minority of the community. If you're talking about reviewers, in this case, you'd have to be if you're talking about AdSense, fine. But another point you made in the video was the fact that the cartoon community is known for sending death threats. There isn't any single reviewer that I know that has ever sent a death threat, so you're talking about the fans. And this is a very, very big logical fallacy that's just very, very messy throughout this entire video. You keep flip-flopping the definition of cartoon community. Because if you're going to talk about the problems of something, and the viewer is going to look at it and come with the common assumption that you're talking about one entity, the community. But what you're doing here is that you're talking about the problems of a subset of the community, the reviewers, and then the problem of another subset of the community, the fans, and lumping them together as if both sides are doing the exact same things. That's not true. So that's another problem I had with the video. It doesn't seem to have a common definition of what is the community. Are you talking about reviewers or are you talking about fans? I don't know what you guys think about that though.
Honestly, I'm in the same boat as you, and to be frank, this person is saying that she is cutting ties with the community, and she's ready to use this video as a way to finally burn all of the bridges that she has made. But is she really? Because as we've said throughout this entire podcast, she has not said a single call out to a specific person that has really pretty much brought her to this conclusion of how messed up this community is supposedly. She has never name dropped. She has not really said a specific situation that happened to her during that time. And obviously it just seems to me that she didn't want to have a one-on-one conversation. She refused to have a one-on-one conversation, and just not being able to do any of that and just want to just spew out something, get a couple of clicks and run, it's a little bit cowardice in my opinion. If you're really ready to face a situation head on, actually face it head on. If you really have an issue with somebody within the community, whether it's a reviewer or a person or a certain fan, then call them out on it directly, whether via privately or in the video that you're ready to cut ties with people on. To me, it just seems like a very cowardice move to just say all this stuff, try and generalize everyone within the community, both reviewers and fans alike, and just essentially make a video to say stay away from this community. I hate videos like that. I do not like videos like that at all. I personally think that, like, with the whole, like, misconstrued of the clickbaitiness of the video in general, and to essentially use that as a way to have people stay away from the community is honestly a little bit of a scummy move. I really don't think it's very appreciative in general, and I do think that it's one of those things where you need to really have an honest talk with yourself and say that, are you really trying to set things right, or are you just doing it to burn bridges? And that's it.
Honestly, when it comes to anything with YouTube, when it comes to any sort of community channel on YouTube, be it what you love, that is, you're a fan first. I like to think, you know, when you come in, you do your thing on YouTube, you're a fan first because you enjoy what you do. But honestly, at the end of the day, I think she just kind of feels burnt out. I think she just is burnt out on the whole situation, really. And that is really stifling her view on the whole situation. It just kind of causes this fog in a way. Sorry, I'm just... Oh, it's a lot to take into. Oh my goodness.
Pretty much, my whole point was that the definition of the cartoon community kept changing within her video. Like, she kept talking about the fans and then the reviewers. But she used the arguments, she used certain arguments to, like, center in on reviewers, and then others for fans. It's like, pick one.
So I think that she started to realize, like, halfway through making the video, that she had really no substance to it at all. And she just kind of was like, yeah, sure, I'll put this in there. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, let's throw that in there. And she just kind of had this random hodgepodge of stuff. A melting pot, if you will. And, yeah, so, you know, honestly, I think that she's just had some really bad personal experiences when it's come to the community, and she just tried to make a very terrible, poor attempt at a tea spilling moment, and it failed horribly. And yeah, I mean, that this entire podcast we've talked about, we're going to continue to talk about how she just did not succeed at all, and a lot of her points were very, very just not good at all. They fell through, and I mean, that's you know, that's it. Like, I don't know, man. It's hard to try to wrap my brain around how she thought that this was a good video.
I guess the last point that I want to center in on, at least, was the fact that she talks about the fact that you rather than saying that you're a fan, talk about the opinions that you have about something. And this is actually kind of the worst point in the video, if you ask me, because you can be a fan and then also have very intricate opinions. And I feel like the way that she worded it was extremely poor, especially for a video in which this is supposed to be your send-off. So she talks about labels a lot in this. The fact that people get attached to a certain show and then, or attached to a certain reviewer, and then they decide to express themselves through these common interests. And the reason why I find it so disingenuous is because she's doing the exact same thing here. Like, what she doesn't understand is that the people who are going to relate to her with this video are the people who have a similar interest, that their cartoon community isn't good. If you go through the comments of this video, there are going to be people who have the label of, I am not a fan of the community, doing exactly what you're doing in the video in the comments. People talk through their shared interests. People become friends with people through shared interests. People build fan bases off of shared beliefs. To say that you have to be a free thinker, like, yes, everyone should develop informed opinions, but like, there is something in everyone's life in which they have taken the opinion of the majority or of people that they trust. I refuse to believe that IveSoul has formed a detailed opinion about every single aspect of media and her life. Everyone at some point has taken an opinion of a friend or something like that. Even down to, like, basic things, like, I don't know, like, which internet company to get. Like, do you think, like, which phone company to get, or what paper clips to get, or where to get your fast food? At some point, you have to give up some of that to the popular opinion or to your friends, because like it's diminishing returns. Like at some point you are giving up some of that autonomy to live a more convenient life. So maybe for some people, that's with animation. Like some people, they want to hear the people that they connect with, the people who you say do not have dynamic personalities, when I would argue that the way that I do videos and the way that Cosmo does videos and the way that Vale does videos are not the same personality. Maybe they just relate to those people because that's how they see themselves. Like how some people who are hyperactive watch hyperactive videos, and how some people who are nerdy watch nerdy videos. Sometimes when you feel like you can relate to a person, you're much more willing to listen to what they have to say. So to say that labels are the reason why the community is so destructive goes exactly against what this community is built on. It's built on the fact that we all share the common interest of loving animation, and what makes it diverse is the why of why we love animation. Some people look at it from a more technical perspective, like RoboBuddies with their Steven Universe rant. Some people look at it more from a writer's perspective, like when Enter talks about morals. Some people are a lot more comical with it, like Nintendo, and then some people are a lot more serious with it, like myself. What makes this community diverse is the how. Not the who, not the what, the why and the how. We all have labels. And that's the reason why this video is so disappointing to me, because it seems like what you're asking of the community goes directly against the reason why it's called a community.
I mean,
but that's just my 2 cents. That's the reason why, like, I couldn't get past the video, because it's like, everyone has labels, including her. Like,
I mean, a lot of people within their own communities have these labels, and it's just gonna be, you work with what you have, basically.
It's kind of funny because we did talk about this a little bit, in my directing class as well, and in one of the shows that we've done, it's a devising piece called Episodes and things like that. One person said that because it was all about sex and gender or whatever, and he talks about, and one person he talked about oh yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of labels, and I'm more of a free spirit. And literally my professor just said you literally just use a label right there and there. So it's kind of like saying that no matter what you do, a label will always be there. Instead of trying to get away of the ideas of labels, a better way to do it is to try and challenge those labels. Try and change the form of what the labels mean and things like that. That should be something that you can look towards too.
And the funny thing here is that it seems like she's also kind of raging against her own label that she may have found when she was within, if we can really say she's not out of the cartoon, community and things like that. It seems like she's trying to challenge that, but she's not realizing it herself that maybe this is not the best way to go about it. Instead, she's trying to just take random shots at things, and it could kind of feel a little forced. But the better way to do it is to just try to make it, make yourself better as a person, as opposed to just trying to simply get your frustrations out. And that I feel will change that quote-unquote label a lot more than what, is going on right now.
Well, I think at this point it's just closing statements. So, I'll just go from left to right. So, Jason.
Yeah.
What did you think of the video overall?
I think the video overall, as you said, Jay, I am a little bit disappointed that she felt this way about the community. I don't think there really was a clear overall objective to this. I think this was more of a personal gripe that she wanted to just air out herself, just it's just an 18-minute rant on her frustrations on the community. It doesn't really give you an idea of where the status of the community is right now, and it really just pinpoints the bad experience she's had in the past more than anything else. So I feel like that if she actually like took a step back and like reviewed what happened, not just the other person's faults, because I'm sure that there were some people who are at fault a little bit, but also her faults as well, and what she could have done to make the situation a little bit better. Because, you know, it's a two-way street. Like, no matter what the debate is, no matter what the conversation is, no matter what the heated moment is, it's always going to be a two-way street. You know, sure, the person said something, but how you respond to it is also a huge factor to what goes on. So I think overall, it doesn't really kind of give the whole idea of what the community is about, or what the community is status-wise, but more so it's just like, hey, this is my experience the past 4 years, and I'm done with it. That's what it really is.
I think she needs to take her ridiculous-looking costume back to Party Central and never make a video again.
Dang.
Whoa.
That's like hot take number 4.
My god, well. Honestly, just coming into this as, you know, someone who really isn't too familiar with her work, I felt that she had some, you know, some good arguments in some, you know, certain situations, or at least certain topics. Like, again, nostalgia was one that I felt she did somewhat decent at. But I do feel that there was that bias, that anger that was underlying throughout a lot of it. And that it was a bigger issue to me. If she maybe focuses on something else without having that more personal, you know, flair there, I guess we could say, I think she could actually do fairly well. I still think that there's something good in there, you know, even if it's not necessarily too great with the community right now, at least. It's still something that I think she can improve upon. But the video itself, it hit some good high notes, but also some really bad dithering lows. So I would say probably more miss than hit to me. And that's from someone who just kind of came into it, you know, watched one of her videos.
So, as you heard, people like Sage and Nate lean a little bit more on the, you know, disappointed, sort of more miss than hit side. And, you know, generally I would be on that side, but for this one, I gotta lean closer to Noah. I don't know if I'd call her an idiot, but I would say that she got burned off of her own accord. There's a lot of people in the community that I've met that share a lot of similar traits that she does. That they want to push and push and push and be very abrasive to try to get either their points across, or to get people who don't necessarily agree with her to at least help her in what she's doing. And I feel like at some point, when the community sort of starts to band together and become more positive, become more connected, she got burnt out. Now, I remember when I had a question for Tom on the other Castoon that will be coming out, which was, because the community is so connected, what will happen if there's someone who didn't necessarily get along with a majority of people in that server, in the community? Will that person become blacklisted? And it's kind of hard to tell now, because there isn't, well, the only person who is like not liked by majority of the people in the community is people like Trafon. But I'm talking about on the YouTuber side. I want to find, like, it's kind of hard, but I feel like this Eye of Saul is going to be the first example of that. And what I think is that a lot of people in the community aren't going to care because they're doing their own thing. But for the few people who do care, for the few people who commented, the few reviewers that commented on her video, they've been very respectful. And I feel like...
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed as well, actually, is that a lot of those comments
very
were...
respectful, especially when I saw a lot of reviewer faces in there. So, to say that the people that you are harshly criticizing putting aside if it's fair or not, are taking what you say very respectfully, it kind of shows that a lot of stuff that you have said may be a little antiquated. It could be a little misinformed. And based off of certain comments where you confirm that a lot of this is based off of your own experiences, from an outsider, because I haven't directly talked to you, but I've been in servers with you, I can definitely say that I feel like you were just burnt by a lot of what happened. And it's not like anyone wouldn't take you back to be a friend, or take you back to collab, or do something with you, or talk about common interests. Or like on here, bring you on to Castoon so that you can talk about your own part. But I feel like going forward, you're going to be more distant to kind of hold this self-fulfilling prophecy that the community is one way, and because they feel their way, they're not going to contact you, when that's not going to be the case. But we'll see. So overall, like I said, I just feel like you were burnt, and a lot of that needed to come out, and you felt like the best way to do it was to title it as the problems of the cartoon community, but masked a lot of those problems as the problems with any fandoms, which is very, very, very disappointing, to say the least.
God.
Yeah, this is a very, man, it's been a while since we had like a serious one. Well, this is actually the first.
Yeah, a lot of the ones that we do, we're just like going off on tangents.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of tangents, Virginia just won March Madness.
Stop it.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah, I had Texas Tech.
Dang. I wanted Texas Tech to win.
What's the matter with you, Noah?
Hey, my PE teacher made money, so.
We're going to talk about you next. We're going to talk about you in the next Castoon. It's going to be 90 minutes of us talking about your conduct.
I'm okay with that.
Alright.
I got over 1,000 videos, so have fun.
Free publicity? Dude has to at least send over his audio first. This time.
Oh my god. True.
This time? What is
You
this?
better send-
This time. There was a time where he didn't.
Bro,
Oh my god.
You better
Is
send,
this still-
you better
are we
send
still
that shit.
recording, or
Yes,
Yeah.
we are. I
Yeah,
want
we are.
everyone to hear that if this doesn't come out, that there was a time where another one was supposed to come out, and it was because of you calling her an
Yeah, to
idiot.
be fair, that Castoon's
At least she
kinda
knows how to
boring
make a video.
Oh boy.
She puts the audio.
Bro, just letting you know. You bet when you render it right. Dot wave.
All I do is just say
Dot
about-
W-
So do I just turn on?
WAV.
Do I stop my audio now?
No. All right, fine. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was Castoon, and our mission is to be your favorite conversation about animation. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
Run away as fast as you possibly can.